Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the South Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, the state of California, and beyond. And tonight, what's up with the Cinequest experience? What is the experience at the Cinequest International Film Festival? And why should you go and experience this wonderful experience? Well, let me tell you something. When I think of a film festival, I think of snobbish people sitting around eating cheese and munching on a few grapes and drinking some wine and, you know, talking about the Chardonnay of here, this and that, and, you know, occasionally talking about a film and just sort of being these pretentious, artsy people. And you know what? Cinequest is nothing like that. So just get that out of your head. Cinequest is the most people-friendly film festival that I've ever been to. You actually feel like you're part of the event, and you are. Tonight, we're going to learn about the Cinequest experience, one that you should experience yourself. Please welcome to our show Susie Mun. She is a senior publicist from Cinequest Film Festival, International Film Festival, let me say, local International Film Festival. Can I plug it anymore? Well, let's get down to business. How you doing?
Hi, I'm
hey,
good.
Long time no see.
I know.
So let's start off with the Cinequest experience. In your eyes, what is the Cinequest experience?
You know, I would say that Cinequest is one of those festivals where the average person will feel and be treated like VIPs, and the VIPs will feel like everyday people. You don't treat them any differently. You treat them as human beings, and that's what our film festival really prides in. We are probably one of the most personable film festivals around.
Right. And I think that's something to really be proud of because, like I said, you know, you can get lost in some of these, I don't want to, you know, name drop, but ones that by no means are any better. They're just they're more well known, Sundance or, you know, the Berlin Film Festival or whatever.
Right.
And I always kind of laugh because I look at the movie things and I see, okay, the winner of the whatever is here, and I'm like, when am I going to see Cinequest here? Okay, someday. So when you say people friendly, that must take a lot of work. You know?
Oh yeah, definitely. We
and
really
training.
we heavily rely on our wonderful volunteers. We have an amazing volunteer coordinator every year that really dedicates to bringing the volunteers who love films, who love just giving their time to such a great event.
Right.
And it makes a difference to these filmmakers who are sometimes have never had a film in a festival, to VIPs who want to talk about all the great things that their company's working with, and just experience their knowledge and to share it and to just make friends. I think that's what it's all about.
So when you prepare, let's say you prepare your staff.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you tell them that are important to Cinequest, that they promote for Cinequest?
I would say what's most important is that this is a place where people meet and make wonderful friendships. These are the connections that will take you beyond. We have had so many filmmakers, so many patrons come back and say, that movie that I watched, I started following after that filmmaker and they made it big. I love all their work. There's a filmmaker that said, you know, I met a different filmmaker who had an actor that would be perfect for my next film. And it's a Cinequest connection. And we brought them together that no other festival would be able to do that with. And what's great is that if you've ever been to certain events, I don't know, I don't want to point out Hollywood, but sometimes
wicked Hollywood.
Sometimes you feel like there's the Hollywood celebrities, and then there's this huge gap and barrier, and then there's us peons, who are the low-level people. And you feel like you can't, they're the untouchable. You can't touch them because they're in this glass cage. But our festival doesn't do that. We give you plenty of access with all of our great venues. We have wonderful venues and the Paragon Bar and different places that you can just hang out with the filmmakers, the directors who made the movies that you love.
Right, and it's true. And I mean, point well taken, because after you see a film, or after I've seen a film, I'll go to the Starbucks that's right across from Camera 12. And at every little table, someone's talking about something. You know, oh yeah, did you see that? That thing was incredible. And they got their things out in the market when the next time it's going to be.
And
I think that's what makes it so beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
So what is the philosophy behind Cinequest? I mean, what is their philosophy in terms of like their artists and their filmmakers and?
Yeah. Cinequest, basically, we have the motto of empowering the maverick. Basically, not only the maverick filmmaker, but the maverick film fan, the maverick film lover, film student. We want to really create a film festival and an arena where they can really explore the uniqueness of every different person and their unique story. So that's what we permeate through everything, especially our film festival, which is kind of our crown jewel of the year.
But that's really important because I think people, you know, artists, right?
Definitely.
I mean, I know you know, but I mean, everybody has a story to be told. Everybody has a craft. And I think you bringing up the issue with Hollywood is really important because Hollywood doesn't allow access, you know. I mean, it does after a while, or if you have a bankroll of, you know, $100 million,
sure,
you might have some access, but
perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps still. But Cinequest allows for that creative thinking that I think promotes the whole idea of the film culture. I mean, it is that culture. So we're going to take a look at some video of Cinequest and a little bit about what people might expect at Cinequest, and we'll come back and talk more about this exciting event. So stay tuned and enjoy this little clip. All right, we're back here talking with Susie Mun from the Cinequest Film Festival, and we were just talking a little bit about how everybody in the festival, from, you know, the talent to the producers to all these people, sort of, you know, get an opportunity to shine where it doesn't happen so much in other avenues, particularly Hollywood. So, but this is an independent film festival. When we talk about an independent film festival, I think people might not understand the concept of that. So let's clarify that. When you say it's an indie film, what is an indie film?
Well, there's actually a lot of definitions of what an independent film or independent film festival is all about. We like to say that an independent film festival is where the filmmaker really has a passion project. They put their own money into it. They'll get some grants or whatnot. And really pour their hearts into this. It doesn't have a distribution deal yet, but what they'll do is they'll submit it to different festivals all around the world to get recognition, and hopefully a distributor out there will grab it and say, hey, this is a keeper, and decide to put it on DVD, put it on internet, put it on theatrical, whatever they need to really market it and let it shine. And our independent festival, what's different than a lot of other independent festivals, is that we try to take a risk by discovering. We are probably one of the last discovery festivals where there will be no-namers, someone who hasn't been discovered yet, who has this raw talent, and we like to put them in the spotlight and say, hey, here is someone that you need to look out for in the future.
I know.
So that's...
And you do see films like that you just wouldn't see. I can remember the one where the guy had the gorilla costume on.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like not polished enough to be something that would be in, we don't want to drop names again, some other independent thing, but you're taking a chance.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's great because there are a lot of people out there who just really need that chance, and that's what makes Cinequest, you know, when you look at it, there's so many films that play.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, so let's talk about the taking the chance. So, and the process of you know, getting this film. So, okay, you get a lot of films, right?
We do.
Okay, so if we're talking about taking a chance, you know, and there's got to be a little bit of some subjective choice here. You know, you have to...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Over the years, I mean, we're in our 18th year now. We have kind of honed in on what our audience is like, what they're interested in. We found that we're not LA, we're not New York.
Right, thank God.
But we have a huge film fan base here of very unique people. And so we like to always advertise that there is something for everyone at our festival.
And that's so true.
Thank you.
So there really is.
Yeah. So we have those people who are into horror films. We have something for you: sci-fi, dramas, comedies, romantic comedies, animation, short films, and documentaries.
Yeah, and things like, I mean, I remember again seeing a film last year that was almost, you could call it a nerd film.
Yeah, we had tons of those last year.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big nerd film festival, but I mean, they do really well.
Yeah. And because there's an audience for them. And we want to recognize that there's an audience here. And we had a film last year called Monster Camp.
That's the one I'm talking about.
And that is, you'd think that, where would this ever have a place? And then you realize it's at the film festival. You have to discover it at a festival and realize there's an audience who would love this because people resonate with it.
Right.
And so it's live action role playing. You think, wow, this is so off the wall, but there are people who really enjoy that. Who it just works for them. So
well, we've done enough subjects on this show that I can understand there's something for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So okay, the process then. So someone. Okay, first of all, how does someone submit a film? I mean, how do they get into the festival?
To get into the festival, everyone has a chance. You don't have to be having this long resume of all the different films that you've already succeeded with. It could be your first film. You just go onto our website, submit. Usually we take submissions starting from April, which is right after a festival is over. And it goes all the way for about 6 months.
All right.
And submissions come in, and our programming team, who have been really experienced in film programming, will start selecting films. And usually they'll select on maverick ideas. So sometimes it's not the things that you might see in the regular theatrical, what you see in the movie theater, but it has some kind of potential and some kind of
so it's
unique.
The spirit that you're talking
exactly.
about.
And it's just so different and quirky and unique from what you see out anywhere else. And you realize, hey, there's an audience for this.
Right. So
and it deserves the shine. And sometimes there's films where you use a cinematography technique that is so unique and never been done before. And you think, wow, this has a lot of potential here.
Right.
So you'll take that into consideration.
Well, that's good. I mean, so you're really looking for the unique approaches to film.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And rather than the standard, although, there will be some of that.
Of course.
It's a mixture of it all.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of films at Cinequest that I still talk about because they're just, some of them, the concept, the ideas are just overshadow any technical, flaws that some might have. Little things happen, but there's sometimes it's, like you said, it's the spirit. You see that feeling you feel behind it. So what about a film that doesn't get into it? What might be a reason where a film might not be selected for a Cinequest?
Well, we like to say that all the submissions that come in, we're so grateful for because we really feel that our festival has grown, and we would like to say if it doesn't come in or it's not a part, we usually think, oh, maybe this one isn't really a good fit for us. We have a very unique audience who are looking for something different than what you can find in theatrical. And maybe this one's a little safe, and we feel like maybe this is a little too safe, and you might want to try to go to regular theatrical.
Right.
But for us, we're all about the maverick spirit, and we want to create what is off the beaten path that you see anywhere else, and that's what we want to highlight.
And another thing that's interesting, I mean, and you really do highlight off the beaten path, as well as some really interesting kind of psychodrama. I mean, really getting inside someone's head. You feature a lot of people from a lot of different countries.
We do.
How do you handle that? I mean, how do you deal with it? All these people from every, I've seen things from, breakaway republics and stuff.
Right. And we actually enjoy it. We thrive on that because we realize that being stuck in America, we are the melting pot. However, we find that we only know so much, and we need to go expand beyond the U.S. and realize there's amazing cinema all over the world with amazing technology, and we get to explore different cultures that we wouldn't normally experience.
And that we need to experience.
Oh, of course.
Well. So we're going to look at another clip from Cinequest and enjoy this international experience as well as an American experience. I think you're going to like what you're going to see, and stay tuned because we'll be right back with Susie Mun. So.
That's my favorite aspect of the film, is when people look into the lens and go, Stuart!
Well, as you can see, the festival is awesome, and I know you're going to be there. Susie Mun will be there helping all of the actors and producers and all these different people from all over the world to make sure that they get to their place in time and all kinds of things. And there's a lot of really neat things that happen at Cinequest. One of my favorite things is that after the viewing, or usually the first showing, the audience gets that rare opportunity to speak with the director.
Yeah.
And tell me, I mean, that's a rarity, and what do you think is the importance of that?
Let's see. Well, if you think about when you go to a regular movie theater, you pay for a $10, $11, sometimes $12 for
and
a movie ticket. Yeah, and you go into the movie, you have a certain experience, you watch the movie, and you walk out, and that's the end of that. At our film festival, what's great is that you watch a movie that you would never see anywhere else. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And then you get to meet the people who actually made it. And so that's a very unique experience. You get to hear just behind the scenes of what their inspiration was, what you know, funny thing had happened, or maybe there was a certain aspect of the film that we didn't understand or we caught, and we're asking the filmmaker, and they get to answer, and this, and we just get a little bit extra and just a little more passion. You feel that connection with the filmmaker, and all of a sudden you just feel you've experienced so much more. I
think it's so in line with what you were saying before about the spirit of the Maverick spirit of this whole event. That I mean, that you can actually talk to the filmmaker, and if you have a question, you'll get an answer.
Right.
You know, it becomes a personal thing. One thing about Cinequest is I've seen a lot of, you know, things that they may have a lot of sexuality in it, may have a lot of things that, you know, American filmmakers in the mainstream are very careful about what they put in.
Definitely.
And if they put in sexuality and stuff, a lot of time it's for a shock value, or it's for, you know, it's kind of objectifying the whole thing rather than giving you some kind of, you know, maverick feeling about it. How do you prepare an audience for something that might have some sexual scenes in it or something like that?
Well, we've actually been very lucky. Our audience are very sophisticated. They really understand that independent films are true artistic pieces. And we have a program guide and a website that describes all of the films. We try to highlight and really share honestly that it's a sensual film, that you can expect that these are provocative topics and really cutting edge kind of issues. And then there's some films that are very family friendly, and we'll also highlight that. So a lot of our audience really are able to read into those descriptions, get a little more information, get a feel for it, with knowing that this is an independent film festival. We don't have the usual standards of ratings. And I mean, honestly, just if you think of the Hollywood and the way that they do ratings, it's really about box office numbers.
Exactly.
Sometimes an R rating will mean that you're going to target a certain audience, and a G rating will target a different audience. And your box office numbers kind of fluctuate between that. With us, it's really making sure that the films are targeted to the right audience, and we make our description, not the rating, do that work.
Yeah, and I did notice that also in Cinequest. The movies that are later at night usually would be the ones that tend to have more of that, but you know,
definitely
an 11-year-old shouldn't be at the movies at 12 o'clock at night. Anyway, that's just my feeling, okay? But because I would have never done that. Okay, Cinequest, it's a big community thing. What does Cinequest do to give back to the community? What are they giving to San Jose, in your opinion?
I would say we just bring the town alive. It's a huge effort. We're the 4th largest event in South Bay. And probably I believe the 2nd or the 3rd largest arts event in the South Bay. And so we really just bring the whole town together. We have a ton of sponsors and restaurants and local venues that really benefit from all the patrons pouring into the festival, and all the talking, all the connecting.
Oh, I know, that's great.
Is what's bringing the town alive. And all of the venues, all of the diner circles that you can dine at, they're all within walking distance. You don't have to drive, and so it's so convenient.
And you can take light rail. You don't even Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, we're environmentally friendly in that sense, and it's
so
a
green
convenient.
film festival. I want you to know that. Yeah, and so I mean, it really does bring San Jose together. And I get so excited. I was in downtown at the Martin Luther King Library a couple days ago, and I saw the signs up, and I said, yeah. Cinequest is coming. So let's get to then the evaluation process. I know, you know, you mark your little things, and, you know, and I've been guilty of not marking them all sometimes, but how can you tell when a film is received really well, or how do you, you know, what do you do to judge which films are going to win what?
Well, we have a jury that really understand film, and they get a chance to watch all the films and really assess how does this highlight the Maverick spirit. Our theme this year is Discover, and so what we really try to highlight, and that's been our theme all along. We're a Discovery Festival, so it seems just poignant that our theme this year is Discover. And we're trying to discover, what is that Maverick spirit? Why does this stand out and speak that unique Maverick theme? And we also see how the audience reacts to it, because we do have the audience favorite awards. And so all of those things play together to really highlight what has brought the community together. Yeah. And that's how we award the Maverick Spirit.
Well, it's such an important event for San Jose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an important event.
We think so.
Well, first of all, it gets people out. It gets people thinking, and it gets people talking, you
Definitely.
know. And in Silicon Valley, where sometimes people are, you know, in their little cubicles or whatever, it's beautiful. So the film festival has ended. I love certain movies. Now what do I do to see these movies again? What happens after this, the final stage?
There's kind of that sad story and happy story to that. It's kind of two-sided. Sad thing is, some of these films never make it to DVD or distribution or for theatrical, and mostly because they don't have star power. That's what usually drives a lot of theatrical and what you see in theaters. And Cinequest has really thought, this is an injustice. We just can't let these gems just die and, you know, kind of phase out. And so we actually made a distribution label, and it's unique to independent films and international films. And we have a unique approach even in how we distribute these films through DVD, which is the mature distribution method right now, but also to internet technologies, using our partner companies to distribute them online. And so that is becoming our new way and the leading way to distribute these films.
So there is hope for the independent filmmaker, that a lot of people will see their works and their great creativity. And thank you so much.
No
That's
problem.
all the time we have for What's Up With That. Go see Cinequest. You'll be missing it if you don't. It's important. And it's important to support the arts in San Jose. And you know that as well as I do. And to our viewing audience, as always, if you're walking down the street and you see something interesting and you wonder to yourself, hey, what's up with that? Well, tune into our show, What's Up With That, and maybe you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We'll see you next week on What's Up With That. Good night, everybody.